Greetings YouTube, Sega Zombie here and welcome to another video, and this is a different video guys. A while back, it must be a month or so back now, there was a tag video going around, and it's kind of gone through all the different communities, and it was a 90 tags video originally set up by Bucky749. Now I done that video, but I changed it up, being a slightly older chap. I changed it to the 80s, and that's inspired me somewhat, that video, because I really enjoyed answering those questions on the 80s. I really did. And most of the things that were talked about has inspired me throughout my life. You know, I grew up in the 80s, and it got me thinking. And one of the questions in that video was, what's your favourite comic? Now, that really struck home with me because growing up in the 80s and being a kid, I can remember my mum and dad getting a video recorder, and it was a VHS video recorder, and at the time Betamax, believe it or not, were controlling the market. And I can remember my parents used to take us to a garage, a local garage, a fuel station that had a shop, and it was like a video rental shop. And all the walls were Betamax videos, apart from a couple of stands that were VHS. And I can remember being so gutted that my dad had invested in a VHS player, and literally it seemed like a few months, a year or so later, roles reversed completely. There was no Betamax and it was all VHS. And that's how I remember it. And because there weren't many films to rent at the time, I can remember my mum taping Hammer horror films that used to come on in the early hours and late at night. And she used to record them on the video. And I used to sit there glued to them, guys. I was absolutely obsessed with horror. Hence why my name is Sega Zombie. You know, I love Sega. I love zombie films ultimately. But, you know, my passion for horror films is just as big as my passion for Sega. And it's something I've not really ever delved into my YouTube channel. But I've got, you know, it all started with those Hammer films being taped off the TV by my mum. And something else, and relating to that 90s tag question and going back to the comic books. And I mentioned a comic called Scream. And it's one of my biggest losses of my childhood. I can remember the family home we moved in like the late 80s, early 90s actually. It was the early 90s that we moved family home, and my parents were quite ruthless. You know, I had two other brothers and a sister, a big family. We had lots of stuff. And I can remember my parents being quite ruthless and chucking stuff out. And one of the things they chucked out was a lot of my British horror comics, and well, British comics in general, my Beanos and stuff like that. And I had this set with those comics and I lost it, and it's something I've wanted to track down for many years. And the 90s tag video, or 80s tag video as I renamed it, inspired me to go out and hunt and get this set. I've managed to get it for a good deal because comic books are very similar, it seems, to video games, and the fact that the prices fluctuate so much and it's dependent on condition. I wasn't looking for absolutely mint brand new comics. I knew that these English comics and like the Beano, the Eagle, all of those paper style comics, you know, they're not going to be in great condition after all these years, and I'm really blown away at the condition of these. We've got them here, guys, and the reason I really wanted to do a video is bearing in mind I've not seen these videos. I've not seen these comics for over 30 years, and the memories that came when I opened this box up, guys, was unbelievable. And the one comic, here's the set here. I just remember so fondly these comic books. It was the artwork that captured me, guys. This is issue number 1. It came with a set of fangs, and I don't know if you guys know, but Scream originated in sort of like 83, 84, I believe, in the Eagle Weekly comic, there was a section in there, the 13th Floor, and a few other stories, and it became very popular, and it went on its own. You know, it got its own comic. It didn't run for very long. It come out on the 24th of March 1984, available every Monday for 22p, and it only ran until the 30th of June. So it wasn't a long run, and it was something to do with a publisher's writers' strike. And yeah, when the company got back to publishing again, Scream unfortunately disappeared. It wasn't due to the popularity, so I can tell, but I can remember being devastated when this comic just disappeared off the newsagent shelves. I really was, because I absolutely adored it, and I read them from cover to cover over and over again. So when I flick through them, I can just remember, so much of the artwork. It just jumps out at me, and the memories that just come flooding back, guys, of the Dracula file. Oh, I loved that story, I really did. And then you've got the 13th Floor, which is a very popular horror series. And yeah, the memories, honestly, I just sat here with that warm buzz, you know, as you do when you look upon something like this. Tales from the Grave. You know, and that's issue 1. It come with a free set of Dracula fangs. And that was the first time I ever had a set of those. And then issue 2 came with a rubber spider's web. And this is where I've got to be careful with these, because they are sticking slightly. This one's got a slight tear in the back because it's still got the tape from where it had that gift on, which is a shame. But yeah, the first 2 issues are sort of like the ones that came with the free gifts. So yeah, they're slightly in not so good a condition. But yeah, again, the Dracula files. And you know, it just was a serial of comics that used to have different stories or running stories each week. And I absolutely, look at this artwork, guys. And you know, it comes on to why I love horror so much, and it was a massive part of my life. It really was. It still is. You know, I absolutely love my horror films. Tales from the Grave featuring on the front there, but I just remember all of this iconic artwork captured my imagination of them Hammer horror films, and just absolutely fantastic. And then that gets on to another passion of mine, and that was art. You know, as I grew up, I became a very keen drawer, and I love to draw. It's not something, unfortunately, I do as much now. I do have a doodle and do sketch and paint every so often. And it, you know, it's something that I took on in school. The one thing I was encouraged about at school a lot is I was quite an average kid, like most of us. I was average at English, average at maths, average at everything, but I excelled in art. And I can remember having a lot of confidence with the teachers being impressed with the art that I was doing, and that pushed me. And I ended up doing art and photography and graphic design GCSEs. And then I went on and done A-levels in those subjects as well. And I was very keen on having an art-based career, but unfortunately that didn't materialise, guys. But I can remember this one scaring me senseless of the dentist. Look at that, guys. But yeah, it's just absolutely brought so much nostalgia out. Absolutely amazing. But the one I really want to focus on, I'm just going to show you the covers because there's not many. There's only 15 issues. Monsters of the Deep. And the one I really want to focus on is a holiday special. Now, what happened is the Scream comic ran for just those few months, and then I can remember being mega excited that a holiday special came out, I'm not sure what year this was. I believe it was a good time after the Scream series, because it seemed like an eternity. But back then, life moved a lot slower as a child. I'm trying to look on here when it was made. It doesn't seem to have a date, but I think it was a good year or so after, because that was 1984. Yeah, I'm right. It's got it here. IPC Magazines, 1985. And the one I really want to talk about is this one, and it's the Scream Holiday Special, and the goosebumps I get just seeing that front cover is just unreal, because it's a massive part of my life. I had a terrible bike accident on my BMX in 1985, and it almost killed me, guys. You can see the remainders of the scar there, but it really did mess me up in a bad way. And this comic kind of reminds me of that time, because I can remember being off school for a long time while healing and recovering from that injury, and my mum bought me this Scream Holiday Special, and I can remember just absolutely loving it, and I can remember every page, guys. I really can. Again, it's got Chambers of Horrors. You've got the Dracula files in there. You've got all of the good stuff. What was in the main series. You've got It's a Scream, a sort of more of a comedy horror series. And it's got all the puzzles as well. You've got the 13th floor. You've got word searches and everything. And I can remember absolutely one of the lowest points being so chuffed to have this. And I can remember when I went back to primary school. I can remember, going back to junior school and taking this comic in with me the day I went back, and my teacher saying to me, "Scott, wow, what is that comic you've got there?" And I can remember her saying to me, "Oh, that's scary. Why don't you draw this?" And this was one of the first times I really properly sat there and drawed. And I can remember spending the afternoon drawing this cover, and the teacher being so impressed by that drawing that it went in the school hall on the wall. And I can remember being absolutely made up, and that's what inspired my passion for art. So, you know, we've not only got my passion for horror here and so many memories. We've got the memories of my BMX accident, and we've got the memories of me drawing my first proper picture. And it was this. And I can remember sitting there drawing every line, every detail. Absolutely loving that character. An absolutely awesome memory. And it's crazy how paper and plastic and these things just spark this nostalgia and all these warm memories of growing up. And, you know, this Scream collection is going to sit proud in my collection. It really is. I'm going to track down proper comic book. You know, I'm no expert in comics at all. My passion for comics continued after Scream. I went into more of the American stuff. Mostly graphic novels as I got older. Stuff like Batman vs. Alien, or Batman vs. Predator, I think it was. And the Alien ones, and Batman Year 1, Batman Year 2. So many great American comics that I got into in as I got older. But the Scream set of comics are very, very dear to me, and will always be treasured. These are never going anywhere, guys. I'm so chuffed to finally have this set in my collection, and you know, that's what's inspired me to do this video, guys. Let me know in comments what comics or books or anything, you know, that sparks that nostalgia for you. And because I am absolutely made up to have these Scream comics. Just got to find a way of displaying them nicely and making them easy accessible, because they are made of that paper. They're very delicate. But my God, I'm buzzing, absolutely buzzing to add them to the collection. I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. Bit of a different one from me. But I thought it was relevant in Sega Zombie, I really do. And like what I said, the memories of sitting here reading some of these stories has been absolutely fantastic. And it's kind of pushed me now to... I've not got a very big magazine collection. I used to have loads, obviously. And again, when I moved out of my parents' house into my first pad, very silly, I gave all my magazines away, either to my brothers or my neighbour. And that was all my Sega Saturn magazines, Mean Machines, all my CMVGs. They all went, guys. And I can remember regretting it. I really do. But I've never really gone back to it. I've got a few Sega Saturn magazines, a few Dreamcast. I'd love to have the Mean Machines. And getting these Screen comics, it's another rabbit hole, guys. I'm now thinking, shall I chase some of the magazines? It seems a bad time to be doing that. Prices are really going up on some of these retro video game magazines. So we'll see. Like I said, guys, I think it's relevant. I really hope you've enjoyed it. Please leave a comment down below. And until the next time, guys, I'm Sega Zombie. Goodbye.